Greetings and good afternoon. I am so excited to be here with you, and I hope you are the same with me. Welcome to Hearts and Heels, where we talk about everything from your heart to your heels. It doesn't matter what it's about, we explore it, we talk about it here. So, welcome to just a show about you, for you, and to discuss everything that happens in life. Now, I know the world has been happening, and we acknowledge all the things that's been happening in society, but we want everyone to be encouraged. God knows all, He sees all, and most important, He is ruling all. Tonight's show is really interesting. I have a special guest with me on tonight. It is my fellow torchbearer. Hey, lady.
Hey, Shay, how's it going?
It's well. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
We hadn't seen each other in a long time, and I know you're saying to yourself, "Who is it?" It's Kristen. We've known each other for a while. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, well, I'm Kristen Bird, and yes, we met through Torchbearers Class 6, best class ever, as
Best
they
class
say.
ever, yeah.
And you're the second torchbearer I've seen this week, actually, and reconnected with. So anyway, I'm Kristen Bird. I work at Child Protect Children's Advocacy Center as the director there as of March 1st, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
I've been in Montgomery, been back home since about 2009. And honestly, that's kind of it. I work, I have a dog, I have a bunch of nieces and nephews, and that's just kind of where it's at.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the promotion, and we know that's a lot of responsibility, and thank you for the work that you do. The work is really valuable. We had Jana. Is that how you pronounce it?
Jana.
I always mispronounce it. We had her on last year. She talked about her work and the service that she provides. Yeah. So we understand here at Hearts and Hills, and know that anytime you need us, just we'll be here for you. But it's a great work. Now she's not here to talk about her great work.
I am not. So do not attach what I say to Child Protect. Yes. This is all personal life right here.
Yeah, it is. This is all personal. Please leave all your professional feelings out of this. This is all personal. Because we know all of us have multiple aspects to our lives that we share with people. So tonight I wanted to talk about something that's really kind of been dear to me for a while. And the reason why I say that, because I've had so many discussions over many years about this topic. And it's been one way or the other for a very long time. And that is about the Greek system, the Pan-Hellenic Council, the Divine Nine, all of that in Christianity. Like, should you do it? Should you not do it? Is it demonic? Is it just all these different things? And we've had conversations. And I put a post out. I shared a post of someone who just renounced, whichever one she chose to do, and said that she was no longer going to wear her Greek letters. And Kristen responded, was like, I would love to be a part of this conversation, because I just think we don't talk about it enough.
Right.
Because Greek system is very important to the Black community. It does a lot of different things. And then there's a sect of people that don't believe in it, and there's a sect of people who are going to go all in for it. So tonight we're going to talk about it. Now, when we say the Divine Nine or the Pan-Hellenic Council, I always get tongue-tied when I say that. Let me explain what it is. This is according to blackgreek.com. So I want to clarify, this is not me, because just FYI, I am non-Greek. So I have not pledged any sorority. I'm not a part or affiliated with any one of them. Kristen is, and she'll share that in just a little bit. So all of this is just knowledge that I've researched. So we have AKAs that were founded in 1906, Cornell University. We have Alpha Kappa Alpha, which I'm glad he came in. We got that. This is our great gentleman in the background that holds it down, our producer. Listen, if you want to call in and you have comments or you want to share your opinion, your thoughts, your question, you can always do that at 334-318-6375. That's 334-318-6375. And remember, on Facebook, social media, please make your comments there, and we'll try to answer those as we go. Again,
I'm not a real AKA if I don't fix this.
Okay.
So AKA was founded in 1908.
1908. See,
at Howard
knew.
University.
Oh, I said it wrong. That was Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Okay.
1906.
Woo,
Cornell University.
Don't be messaging me.
No. That correct it. Stamp, please. Everywhere. It was, I read it all wrong. Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity founded 1906, Cornell University.
Like,
Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority founded 1908 at Howard University. Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity founded 1911 at Indiana University. Omega Psi Phi fraternity founded 1911 at Howard University. Delta Sigma Theta sorority founded 1913, Howard University. Phi Beta Sigma fraternity founded 1914 at Howard University. Did I say Phi Beta Sigma? Did I just say that? Zeta Phi Beta sorority founded 1920 at Howard. Sigma Gamma Rho founded 1922 at Butler University, and Iota Phi Theta fraternity founded in 1963. So whenever you hear someone talk about the Divine Nine, that is consistent of the Divine Nine. These are all the organizations that were founded throughout the years at different universities for Black Greek letters. Prior to this, we know that it was a Greek system. It's been a Greek system around for a long time, but they were predominantly white Greek systems. And because of segregation and all these different things, Black people really they weren't invited into these spaces. So in essence, if you think about historical nature, Blacks began to create their own systems so that they won't feel ostracized, and they have some social gathering in these spaces. Now I'm giving you some just historical things because I've been trying to read up on this and make sure, but really that's where it came from. And most of the organizations came from social risings at that time, or whatever those political social things that was happening at the university during that time. So that's what they were created for. Now they're also known as Black Greek letter organizations, which are BGLOs. I had no idea that was a thing, but they're BGLOs, so Black Greek letter organizations. And they are recognized to have a deeper insight into the work that they really do day to day, which is honoring their fraternities and sororities, having social interaction, engagement, providing scholarships, leadership to our community, and hours of service for over 100 years. So we celebrate them in the work that they've done in the Black community. We do not take away from that. Acknowledge that, okay? We do not take away the work that is being done. This is only strictly based on some theological, some spiritual beliefs about whether these organizations are demonic in nature, or rooted in demonic things, or founded in demonic things, and whether we are continuing to perpetuate those things throughout the years. So when we talk about demonic and witchcraft, I want to clarify that, because a lot of people don't talk about that in religion.
Right.
We do not talk about witchcraft, but it is very much alive. Witchcraft is everything that you're thinking of when I say the word, from spells to rituals to tradition. All those things can be a part of witchcraft. It is not just somebody in the back cooking up a spell or getting a piece of hair, putting it. Those are not the only ways that witchcraft is shown throughout.
Voodoo are the roots.
Yeah. We think about voodoo. Yeah, those are parts of witchcraft, but there's so many different aspects of it. So when we talk about witchcraft, we talk about it from that perspective. I do want to share something. Michael Mora, who is a photographer, he made this comment today, and I thought it was amazing that he would make this comment. So it would start the conversation. He said, witchcraft has and is becoming very popular by the day, especially amongst many artistic people. Here's some insight. Witchcraft is deceptively repackaged to look normal when it's not. Tapping into dark arts is never right, and it will most definitely turn your life upside down. Everything spiritual doesn't come from God. Amen. So we're going to start there. Tell us about, Kristen, your experiences with Alpha Kappa Alpha, because she's already told you that she is an AKA.
Yes. Okay. And if anybody that I know is listening will probably roll their eyes a little bit, because my experience with AKA is a little bit different than everybody else's, especially here in Montgomery. I did not attend an HBCU, which I kind of wish I had now looking back, but I did not.
Some of us have that.
Yes. I attended a PWI, if you must know, Huntington College here in Montgomery, for my bachelor's. So my experience was different. So we pledged in, oh my God, I think it was 98, and we chartered a chapter at Huntington. And at the time, talk about being paper was big. If you don't know what that is, being paper is you don't really go through the traditional, what some people would call the hazing process, or whatever the case was.
The hazing that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And we were crossed by older women who were in the grad chapter here in Montgomery. So we were already kind of, marked for that reason, I guess. Fun fact, I also have an MDiv. So I used to be in ministry some, went to seminary. So
this is going to be really great.
So I've been on quite a journey as far as my Christianity is concerned, and my relationship with the church, my relationship with Christ, my relationship with just a lot of things. So as far as Greek is concerned, we pledged, we did the whole thing. Had all of our paraphernalia, jackets, letters, all the thing. I was number 9. Can't even remember my nickname, y'all, because it was that long ago.
Right.
So, and I moved out to California in 2000 after I graduated Huntington, because I just wanted to leave. I got really involved in a church. And some churches in California really do focus on witchcraft and the demonic, whatever you say the demonic is, and how that kind of works out in the Bay Area. There are a lot of, we'll just say, free-spirited people that live in that area of the country. So I became a part of a small group. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. I became a part of a small group, and my small group leader at the time was really big into denouncing witchcraft and things like that. And Greek organizations was one of that thing.
So this is where it starts.
So it had gotten to the point I couldn't burn my Maxwell CDs or my Sade CDs because I lived in an apartment, but I dumped them in a dumpster. Mind you, I'm mad about it still, and that was 20 some odd years ago, because I miss my CDs.
Yes.
That was some good.
Have mine.
That was some good music I got rid of, and it was all with good intent. Like I was in a journey at that time to, be closer to God. I had always felt like I was called to ministry. I always felt like ministry was going to be my vocation, even though things have kind of looked a little different. I just felt like that's where I was supposed to be. So I felt like I had to do those things to get to where I thought I was going, to be like a Juanita Bonham Jr. out here prophesying and laying people out.
Gotcha.
And so to be attached to things that weren't quote unquote holy, I had to, detach myself. So part of that was anything I had in relationship to Greek life.
And so when she talks about prophesying, laying on hands, those are things that are more in the prophetic type ministries, Pentecostal type ministries, where they're dancing and they deal more with the spirit. There are books called like Pigs in the Parlor, which is
that book?
Oh yes, I've read it.
I read it too, and I got scared.
Yes, Pigs in the Parlor. If you've never read that book, read the book. It's an amazing book, and it is realistic. So some of the things that happen in that book I've experienced. And this goes into the deeper things because we don't like to talk about it, but it is that we are in a spiritual battle. Let's just clarify. When the Bible tells us to put on the whole armor of God, he is not talking about putting on the armor just to have some clothes on. You are fighting. Whenever the military puts on their armor, they're going to fight, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever the enemy is, and our enemy is Satan, those demonic things. So there are demonic things that are happening in the spirit realm, and we have demonic presence. As a matter of fact, and so when we talk about this, I want to make sure we are clear. When you think about the Bible, when Jesus was walking, and there was a man in the graveyard that was cutting himself and screaming out, and he was naked, and he approached the man, and he said, the spirit, he said, who are you? And he said, we're legion, for we are many. There was a spirit inside, and he said, why'd you come before the appointed time? And then Jesus cursed it into the pigs, and the pigs ran to. That's what you call spiritual deliverance. And part of his cutting was part of the witchcraft that the demons had in roused in him to do. So I'm giving y'all so look. So
she's going real deep. I mean, and this is very likened to the kind of teaching that I was under at the time.
So, but it is, so let me say this. There has
Pinks
to be.
and the Parlor was a book that was given to me by my mentor at the time to read. And so I was very familiar with that kind of talk and that kind of speak.
And spiritual, and Pinks and the Parlor is really for spiritual deliverance. And it is important, but it has to be balanced.
Right.
Like there has to be balance. Like everyone, we all are dealing with spirits. Anybody, if you know anyone who can say, I don't have a spiritual, I'm not, ain't nothing wrong with me, that's, you tell stories. We all dealing with we're struggling with it's a spirit of lying, it's a spirit of fornication, it's a spirit, all these spirit of adultery. There's so many different spirits that if we don't think about, and the only one that that a lot of people know about is Jezebel. It's amazing how you can say spirit of Jezebel. It's like, oh, yes, she got the spirit of Jezebel. And we don't even know what that means, because and it has so much power in it. So that's a really quick lesson on when we talk about spirit as we talk about witchcraft. If you're interested in that book, please go get it. It's a small book, but it's really impactful, and it deals with those spiritual things. So there was a renouncement. Someone renounced, hey, look, I'm no longer going to serve God. This is what serve these the fraternity sorority. She said, I watched a YouTube video of an African American woman of God discussing how she delivered this woman who had demons tied to her life. So we talk about the demonic and presence. Right. As she was expelling all these demons, the demons began to speak, and the woman conducted deliverance, said, what is your name? The demon said, Minerva. Minerva. I should have figured out how to pronounce it. Maybe. Yeah, it said it's about the red and white. That is what the demon said about speaking to this woman. And this woman had pledged Delta Sigma Theta, who was bound with all these spirits. The demon said that she just crossed 32 pretty black girls. So this girl is.
So the demon's talking to the lady and telling her this.
Yeah, so some people claim they can talk to demons, and I'm not saying this. I'm not against it or for that, because I don't know. I don't talk to demons. If one show up around me, I'm just like, go away.
Go. I'm trying to find the holy one.
So anyway, it goes on to talk about this demon Minerva and how it has tricked people into thinking that the Black Greek letter organizations are great places to be in, and that you. And that they have fooled generations of women and men who are now away from the church, and now they serve these organizations because these organizations supposedly have gods and things that they're serving and bowing to.
So let me ask this. So let's talk about it. Caveat here.
Okay.
So I have, even though I came up in I'll just say a charismatic tradition.
That's what
spoken tongues, prophesied, prayed for people that got slain, preached, whatever. I have swung to the other side a little bit, in the sense of what some people now call deconstructing. Like, I have been kind of going through my own journey, and it's not really about whether I believe in God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit. I definitely believe in them, but I don't believe in them the way I was told to. So it's kind of like I'm having to shed myself of all of what I was taught, and a lot of that has to do with my seminary experience, being around people who just were in ministry for what I felt like was the wrong reason. When I heard somebody say in one of my classes that his biggest goal was to have a mega church and a plane, it did something.
Oh, wow.
It did something to me. And it bothered me because I knew I was around a lot of people and that was their goal. And I was also listening to people where from the outside looking in, that was their goal. So I just had to give that little caveat. So I might say some things and it might be a little but it's because I'm questioning it, or just still in a process of kind of shedding things that I was taught and
finding the truth
for myself. I will tell you too that learning more about social justice issues did that to me as well. And I'll put this little caveat in there. A lot of the churches that I belonged to up until adulthood, there were white pastors. And I'm not going to touch that right now, but
girl, that's a whole nother show.
It is a whole nother show, but it kind of just explains where I am with it.
Gotcha.
So back to Minerva. Okay, who is Minerva? How do we know what Minerva is? And did Minerva say her name? Yes, Minerva. And
so supposedly this is a demon false god Minerva that all the Greek organizations have some part of.
And who got the revelation of this, I guess, is where I'm going.
So I don't know these people. This is from one of the testimonies. As a matter of fact, she'll be sharing with us in a couple of weeks. So she's going to give us some clarity as to these things. But she's saying all these things spoke. And because of this, just awakened her. And she began to go down her journey of really finding out whether fraternities and sororities are actually demonic. And that has been her conclusion, based on her spirituality. Because one thing is that she talked about in her experience. Because one thing she talked about is the prayer. So let's go through a few things. There are prayers, and a lot of them are on the internet. So the stuff that we're talking about, I'm not talking about their deep rituals or the inside secret things. These are things that have been on the internet for whatever reasons, because you can find songs, prayers, and that. But there are a lot of prayers that talk about having a spirit of fraternity and sorority versus a spirit of God. And that was one of the things that she was talking about. Tell me your thoughts on whether, because one couple talked about that is part of their prayer, that they say God at first, and then they say, grant me with the spirit of fraternity and sorority, or sorority, whichever one it was. And they never said those words because they didn't want to have a spirit of that. They wanted to have a spirit of God.
So let me tell you, this is why I got rid of my stuff, because I cannot go back. I don't have it by memory, and I cannot go back and look to see what was actually printed and written and what we said. The biggest thing that stuck out to me at the time when I was going through this spiritual journey and getting closer to God and all of that was praying to the ancestors. Calling out their names and honoring them for forming this organization, and then us now being allowed to kind of be a part of it, kind of following in their footsteps. But it was seen as praying to a mini god, like a demigod, I guess, or something like that. Praying to women and holding them in higher esteem than you would hold God, per se. And that was the biggest thing that I guess I had reasoned within myself was the problem. And it made sense to me at the time. I'm trying to get closer to God. And at the time, dealing with a whole lot of what people would call demonic things within myself. Because I was processing a lot of life at the time. A lot of trauma that I had been through, which kind of makes sense as to why, I was looking for answers in a lot of areas of my life, just because things were being peeled back and understood, I guess, as an adult. So I don't remember the conversations about
the prayer
specifically.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because a lot of people that denounced or renounced talked about that you prayed to these ancestors, and that that we should honor them
and it
for
would
what
be
the
the
role.
founders.
Yeah, the founders. Yes. So when we say ancestors, to my founders,
the founders of your organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, here's the reason that sometimes I kind of cringe, because when you talk about praying to the ancestors, even like some of the movies that we watch, and when I hear it, I'm like, ugh. You know, because that is really part of like a witchcraft thing. It is a covering of one of those things in there. But that's what they talked about, that, you know, it is, you know, when you start putting, the Bible says that, you know, I will have no other God before me. But when you start putting other things in front of God, and we don't think so, that's big. We talk about this in fraternity sorority, but we can do this in everyday life, from our cars, for the children, from our husbands, our wives, money, definitely. Jobs, we put those things before God and before anything else, and we really start to value that instead of valuing God. And really, that's in essence what they're talking about. Yeah. But is that a personal thing, or is that pushed by the sorority or fraternity?
What do you mean? The prayer or the things that you say?
So they may have like these statements and you honor these people. So is it that they push that you are
I wouldn't say that they push, but there's a ceremony. And it's just like any other ceremony when you get inducted into like the Beta Club or National Honor Society or something like that. So there, and I think, and let me give this, let me be clear about this as well. I do not any longer believe that I would have to denounce my Greek organization.
Okay, so you came back from it. Okay.
I came back from it.
Okay.
I did.
We're going to get to why you came back. But you said during the ceremony, there are some things that you do that say that
you're in the dark.
Don't go to me.
Listen to this, all y'all out here, aka. Yes. I won't go into too many details, because I don't want to. But you are, let's just say, kind of separated from people. There's a certain, for lack of a better word, ambiance, I guess they try to say it. But honestly, it's nothing, in my opinion, right now, any different to any other ceremony you might go through to be inducted into something.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So this is where, you know, some people say you serving two guys. One of them talked about, which I thought was really interesting, that it's a trauma bond. And when you have trauma bonds, then that's really considered to be of demonic presence. Like you are, and so when he talked about it from a trauma bond, so this was a gentleman that was coming, he denounced his fraternity. And he was saying, you know, it's not something positive or upbuilding if you are connecting after being hurt and being I guess going through some of the different things that you go through when you're in fraternity sororities, that all of it is really
because of the
trauma.
hazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts about the trauma bond aspect from hazing, and that's really where the connection comes from?
I mean, maybe for him that is true, but there has to be, I would think there would have to be some kind of connection or some kind of desire or want to be a part of the organization, and before you even get to the point of where there's some kind of physical trauma or whatever the case may be.
So yeah, he did talk about that a lot of people were looking for family, looking for connection, and those things the fraternity sorority use and create deeper trauma bonds, which made them serve the fraternity and sorority more than they served God.
Why are people so deep about it, though, Shay?
I don't know.
So
this
deep
is why
about
we're
it.
here to talk about it.
So I don't know. Like, I guess I'm feeling like, why does it have to be that deep for everybody? And I'm not saying that he's saying that for everyone. I'm just saying.
So why does it have to be that deep? And so that's I guess that's one of my questions, because I've never really thought about this. And again, I've dealt with spiritual warfare on so many different levels, from, you know, being engaged in it, from doing, you know, all aspects of seeing it, every aspect of it. But I never looked at fraternity sorority as one of those things that are considered demonic. And I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just telling you, I never thought about it in that way because I felt like it was such a community serving organization. But sometimes there are, I mean, to be honest, we can have wolves in sheep clothing. Mm-hmm. So this is why I want to have a conversation, because I want to understand what is it about these organizations that make people feel like they have to denounce them because of spirituality. It was the disconnect. Because I'm not in one, I don't know those aspects of it, but I'm just telling you some of the things.
Right, that people say.
Even the ceremonial part, they talked about the ceremony, and even the crossing of the probate. One person deep dive into the word probate and what it means. Like when you go to probate court, what happens? I was like, and then they talked about the probate. So they went into all these deep things about how you are pledging your life to this Greek organization, and when you pledge your life to that, you can't pledge your life to God.
So is that any different than joining a church or pledging your life to this community of believers, or joining some other community, serving organization that's not considered cultic or demonic or anything like that? Like, what really differentiates it? And let me tell you what else kind of helped me to kind of come back from denouncing it. And this probably isn't a good reason, but I saw women that I looked up to at one time, like Sarita Jakes and Cynthia Hale. They do not denounce their Greek organizations.
They are,
from what I understand, they're very active and out there with it. And so I was like, she's like the mother of charismatic gospel woman that heart loose. TD Jake's wife, like Queen Mother. So surely if she is active, and she is a soror as well, like, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you compared it to a church. I don't know if it would be considered the same.
Well, I feel like it depends on who you talk to and what your theological bend is. Also, like your life experiences. Because I do know, like, some denominations, I grew up Baptist to a certain point. And when you were Baptist and you felt like you wanted to go to another Baptist church, you had to move your letter.
Oh yeah, they had to write you a letter.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
And it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's like that in some Methodist
and I think
churches.
Some people still do that.
Yes, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, you've pledged your, and some people will say, well, the church is Jesus's, I don't know what they want to call it, Jesus's whatever, but it ain't Jesus.
The church is not Jesus.
No.
Okay, explain that.
No, Jesus is in the church. Jesus is in us. But what I mean by that is, like, in essence, I feel like I can pledge myself to Jesus, but not necessarily pledge myself to a church. Meaning the building and the governance of
governance. Okay, gotcha. So when we talk about pledge and membership, so I guess this is a good question. So is there a difference between becoming a member and pledging?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, and I get
is
you.
It any
like,
difference?
Is there a difference between pledging and being a member of a church? And I would, so for me, I would say yes. I know there are some really sects that probably could say it's the same thing, because they are really,
there are some denominations that require, certain
long
things.
skirts and no makeup and no this, and you can't do this, you can't do that. And so once you get a freedom from that, then you don't go back. What was the, when you had your group leader and they talked about, this was, any type of Greek organization is rooted in witchcraft. What was it that really pricked you and said, okay, this is it? She's right. This is definitely part of witchcraft.
Because she talked about the ceremony, where you, and at that time she called it praying to the ancestors.
Right.
I don't really see it as praying to the ancestors. You would call out founders' names and, I guess, give honor to them for founding this organization. But to her, and things that she had read and felt like she knew, you're giving as much homage to them as you would to God, I guess, putting them on the same pedestal.
Have you ever put them on the same pedestal?
No, I have not.
Okay. But why hadn't you? Like, what was it? You know, when going through this and you being ingrained in your mind has been um, they've told you like these are your founders. They are wonderful. They are great because they founded this organization and you know we're pink green and we got all these things. What was it that kept you from idolizing them and just understanding that they paved the way?
I don't know, other than knowing that they were just as human as I am. Other than knowing, I guess for me, it just in my mind was separate, and I wasn't joining a Greek organization because I wanted to be a part of a family or something like that. For me, it was more I wanted to be a part of my community in a bigger way and give back, and but also had that social aspect as well. But it wasn't like I was seeking out for it to the point where I felt like if I didn't get it, I would die.
Right.
Kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't really know.
So one of the scriptures that someone used, which I thought was really interesting, it says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not the Father, but is of the world." So we're gonna assume because we don't know why they added this scripture there. So let's go on the assumption.
And this is to one of the people that renowned.
Yes.
Okay.
So they talked about the world, and this scripture gives you an example of the world. Lust of the flesh. Is lust of the flesh part of any sorority or Greek organization from your perspective?
From my perspective, no. Now maybe somebody would say, AKAs. Now, this is awful.
It's okay.
But this is awful. But when I was coming up, it was still a thing that AKAs looked a certain way. Certain skin color and things like that, and super vain and the pretty AKAs. So in that sense, maybe, but or wanting to be seen, or I don't know, wanting to be a part of something bigger than yourself, maybe, or be popular.
Do you think that it creates this sense of pride that trumps God in a certain way?
It can, just like anything else, I feel.
Why would someone become prideful of the letters? Because I know I see it all the time. Like people have their jackets on and they got them letters and they're excited about throwing up the signs and the hand signals and all these things. Yeah. But what makes being in a sorority or fraternity something of pride, and what is that fine line, if you can, share your perspective on it?
The only thing I can compare it to, and this is just Kristen talking, like I don't have any research on this or anything, but I have never seen like school spirit or connection to an alma mater or a school like I do with HBCU grads. They love where they came from, and so I kind of liken it to the same thing with the Greek organizations. That's just kind of how I see it. But also, if I'm talking out loud about it now and kind of processing it out loud, I'm thinking about, just Black people in general. We never had anything for years that we could be prideful in, and to be a part of an organization that valued you, and being valued you. I can't talk today. As a Black woman or a Black man was kind of like a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So being able to take pride in that and wear those letters and wear them proudly, we were kind of do it in a sense.
So that is where the pride comes from. Now,
that's a theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. Well, that's one of the ways that people are prideful. But what is the fine line with it?
You mean like pride comes before fall? Like where do you? I don't see. I don't know, because I I don't know why we're likening the two.
So was the only reason that you came back from your denouncing of AKA was because of the other leaders that you saw, or was it like a spiritual enlightenment that you got from God? Yeah, I'm asking.
She is opening up a box of worms. So, ask me that one more time.
I just want to know, you talked earlier about, Sarita Jakes and some other prominent women who were part of these Greek organizations and never denounced them, and how that was one of the reasons that you kind of turned around the way that you were approaching the organization before. Were they the only reasons, or were there some other reasons, like you had some spiritual revelations as to why these Greek organizations are not to the level in your life that some people would place them under to be witchcraft?
No, seeing those women were not the only reason, because I don't, base my life solely on that thing and compare my life to people in that sense. Because I don't know what they do behind closed doors, just like they don't know what I do.
Right.
So did God like speak to me or give me an unction and told me that it would be okay? No. I cannot say that he did, but I can't say that he didn't. And if he did, I don't know what that looks like. I can just say that for myself, I got to a place where I was confident that I felt like there's no harm in being a part of a Greek organization, loving my letters. Um, am I active now? No, but that is for other reasons outside of religion and my spiritual walk. So there was not like a burning bush moment for me.
I was hoping to get a burning bush moment.
I know, there wasn't.
Because I think, like, when you talk about spirituality, like, so many people have all it, because let me say this, people are known to blindly say scriptures that seem like they fit into situations without really understanding what that scripture was referring to. Right. So you have to really be careful with that anyway. So I know I did read some scriptures and they talk about some things in a deeper manner. So make sure you go and check them out. But I just want to know, because with this, if we talk about this from a spiritual perspective, if you think about the secret rituals, okay, some of the things that they talked about, the secret rituals, the chanting, the creeds, the elitism attitude. These are just some. This is not me. This is
she's reading.
Yes, the underground practices that they have. Those some of the things that would lend to you believing or categorizing it or putting it in that realm of category. So I'm wondering, like, what I know their community, I know they're loving, I know they're supporting those things. I've seen the work of, and some of them have done really great work. So I'm not taking away from it, but I'm just trying to see from a spiritual aspect, like, have we really gotten away from those things that make it this transitional period where people who love God, who say, I really want to do this, but I'm not really sure because I don't want to put anything before God. Like, is there this common theme, or is there a ground that we can sit on and say, no, this is not the money? I'm trying.
I'm not going to tell you that there is, because I don't believe that there is. Gotcha. I think you have to do what you personally feel that is okay for you to do. I do think in certain people's spiritual walk, I remember Rod Parsley, because I used to watch Rod Parsley back in the day.
He's a whole nother beast.
Yeah. But yeah, he does. And even other preachers, Joyce Meyer preached a message about this a long time ago, and she talked about when she would be in like a supermarket or something, and she didn't put the buggy bag, that the Holy Spirit would be like, go put that buggy back. Or she'd walk by a piece of trash and go pick the trash up. So to this day, I will not leave a buggy out. I will not pick up a piece of trash or whatever the case may be. But that is my personal conviction. Gotcha. I do feel like that some people can do things that other people can't. I, because of their personal
Oh.
convictions and what they believe is beneficial and fruitful for their life.
Okay, I can see that. So some people's purpose for being involved in these organizations may be community, and for others, they're just joining this organization and can get trapped and caught up in the things that could lend to a witchcraft kind of demonic things. So is that what you're saying?
I think so. But you saying that, I'm a therapist as well.
Yes.
So I some people's personalities just may lean that way anyway, to where they might become obsessive about certain things, or not be able to prioritize things that may be what they see as spiritually fruitful, or whatever the case may be. They may have certain spiritual leanings because of things that they've experienced in life. You talked about the trauma bond.
Yeah.
Previous trauma, even before getting into the
Right.
Greek organization, might influence their decision to be in it. So I just
And the
I just
level
think
of commitment. Yeah. So it just
yeah, I
depends.
just think it depends on the person.
So I did do a little bit more research, and of course, it's so many things out here. You guys really look it up, and we're gonna have some great conversations over the next couple of weeks. But I want to talk about these things. So Phi Beta Sigma. So these are, so when we talk about Greeks, they are rooted in some Greek mythology. It is some, they are connected to some, it is what it is. I mean, when we talk about Greek, it is Greek. And if you look at this, not just from black sororities and fraternities, white sororities and fraternities too, the letterings, all of that is based on a Greek system. So a lot of fraternities and sororities, they are connected, or they identify, or some form of Greek god is connected to them. So I do want to share this, and this is also coming from some research. So Phi Beta Sigma is associated with Athena, which is the Greek religion and mythology.
And who wrote this?
This is from an article. I'm gonna have to give it to you,
Okay.
but it's some research. So yeah, I just looked it up. Kappa Alpha Psi is supposed to be associated with the Thoth. So I say supposed to be because I looked this up. This is research, and we know how the internet can be sometimes. Which is the name given to Greeks to the Egyptian god of deity. Phi Beta Sigma, AKA.
I'm about to say, what god is
No,
AKA?
no, AKA is associated with Atlas. Have you ever heard that before?
No, I have not.
See, Alpha Phi Alpha Sphinx, which I've heard that before because of their logo, that they have some associated with Sphinx, which is a Greek god. Omega Psi Phi Anubis, and Zeta Phi Beta, Bastet. And so they did all this, and you guys can't see my research, but they actually showed a picture where the god that they're referencing is in
like the
shield. Is that what that's called? The shield?
Yeah.
Okay. It's in the shield. So that is when so it's really going looking at their shields and being a part of that. So it is, if you look at them, they're here. I'm showing her.
She's showing me.
I'm showing her the shields as we talk about this, so she can see that these Greek gods are in there. So when we think about it from that perspective, what is your response from that perspective when you see that some of these Greek mythology gods are in there, and these, it's supposed to be God of War, and we watch movies about them all the time. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any thoughts about it for real. Okay. I'm just like, why is it that deep? That's what I just keep going back to. And my friends and I have conversations like this all of the time. And I kind of wish they were here to pipe in. But I just am not understanding the big deal. And I guess too, Shay, part of that is because there are so many other big things happening in the world. The world is upside down. We're in a pandemic still. Monkeypox is, so I'm just like, why?
It's real.
Yeah.
And if you got it, let me know so I can stay away from it.
Yeah, I just am just trying to figure out why is it so deep. But I get it. I kind of get it.
And so the believers that are really hell bent on this being, labeled as such, their thought is that we're supposed to be separate. We're supposed to be holy. We're supposed to be set aside. We're not supposed to engage in anything that is ritualistic. So
do these same people follow Alabama football? Do these same people?
I'm gonna take it even closer. So let me say this.
Do they only buy Wonder Bread?
Yeah, I'm very specific.
I was specific about my bread as well. But.
So let me say this from my perspective, because I'm a diehard. I roll with Jesus, God. That I'm their cheerleader. Anything ritualistic can take you away from God. And there are so many things. Y'all listen to me. There's so many things that we do in church, in our homes.
Yes.
That become ritualistic and traditional. And we don't even understand why we're doing it. And it can take away from God being in the midst.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying exactly. That is exactly it.
And so with that being said, I don't know. Again, I've been reading and I know all the scriptures and I understand. If anybody understands spiritual warfare, I do. However, I'm not convinced that I'm not convinced that they should be labeled as such and thrown away. I think we have to be really, really careful. And to be honest, there are some things that we're doing. If you're reading horoscopes, let's just be honest. If you're dealing in horoscoping and you're delving into numbers on a deeper level than just, 9, 5 is grace and 3 is the Trinity. If you're delving into them and adding up numbers and positioning them, that all of that stuff can lead into demonic ways. And let me also say this, and this is how I truly feel. So in the Bible, it talks about this. We talk about prophetic. We talk about prophesying. We talk about, foretelling. If you read the book of Isaiah, it is all, majority of it is a prophecy about Jesus. That's what he's prophesying about the whole time, right, Scholar? She got the degree. I'm just gonna.
Everybody always could, but they would be real surprised about some stuff I would say. But yes, that is true.
Yeah, so he is, he is a prophet. He's telling the story. But there were also prophets in the Bible. Stay with me. There were prophets in the Bible that they call sorcerers and
oh my goodness. Yes, we talk about it all the time. Not fortune tellers, but
we're sort of on the same line.
Yeah, like psychics, fortune tellers.
Psychics, yes.
And I can't think of the word right now either. I'll probably Google it actually.
So
psychics, it's gonna bother me.
So this is what it is. Psychics are real, right?
Soothsayers.
They're real, right?
I do believe
they can tell a future, right? And they can tell the same future that a prophet can tell. But what are they rooted in is the difference. Like, what are their foundation in? Why are they saying these things? What are they saying them for? It's just like, the snake. The snake said, "You won't surely die." That was an evil thing because he was, God had told him to stay away from this tree. Stay away from it. You don't eat from here because if you eat from here, things will happen. Okay. And so the demon came and said the exact same thing. But he made it seem like it was something more that you were missing and all this stuff. So I think it's all about what you're rooted in, like the roots of what it is. So if you come into an organization, you're rooted firmly in who God is in your life, I think that's different than going into an organization and you find your roots there and you start to allow the systems of words to take over, because very much as they have Greek gods in all this stuff, they have a lot of God in it. They have a lot of God in most of the songs and all this kind of stuff that they're singing. And And why not just whatever the AKA song is, just be about strengthening each other as women and strengthening each other as men.
Sisterhood.
I'm just asking. I'm not saying it's right, wrong. I don't know because I don't know the deep levels of it. I hadn't gone through the inner circle of ritual. Maybe I need to go through one. So
you need to pledge.
Yeah, so I can, maybe I need to go pledge and understand this thing to really figure it out. But I really do think, we're going to have to, and again, we're going to have someone to talk about it who's denounced it, and I want to get a full understanding of what they're saying. I just think,
and I'll say this too, like I wholeheartly believe that you cannot take anyone's experience from them. So if I have a particular experience with Christ, which I have had, you can't tell me anything different because I was there kind of thing. I experienced it for myself. So people who are denouncing Greek organizations, I can't really say whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. I just know evidently they have had some sort of experience that they believe has steered them in this other direction.
Maybe it's their call. Maybe their call was not to be, because we're not meant to be in everything and be around everyone. No. We're not meant to. So maybe God's call was, look, I don't want you to be a part of that organization, but you chose to because you started thinking about your worldly, fleshly desires.
Or you had a girlfriend that was pledging and y'all just pledged together.
Or one girl, I heard her talk about her experience, and she wanted to do it because all the people, she grew up in a poor neighborhood, and everybody that she knew was Greek that had achieved. And she wanted to achieve. She wanted to be just like them.
And that's the thing too. Some women, I believe, it's networking, it's sisterhood, it's more about relationships, and not even as much. I shouldn't even say networking. Really, it's more about sisterhood and relationships and community service.
Yeah, I think it's so many different ways. And again, I can, one of the main scriptures, and I do want to say this, one of the main scriptures that I came up was, God is a jealous God. Do you really think that giving oaths to another organization where false deities are associated with is pleasing to God? Most of them talked about God being a jealous God and giving an oath to an organization. And a lot of them made the oath synonymous to vow. What are your thoughts about oaths being vows? Oh, we coming to the end of the show.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I just glanced at my watch. I don't know, Shay. I if I'm true about it, I probably make oaths to a lot of things. I love cinnamon rolls, and sometimes I want a cinnabon. Like I don't know. I don't.
And we make oaths when we get up and read that church covenant.
We do
on that first Sunday. Y'all know y'all read the church covenant, and we vow to do this, and we vow.
How about when you? Because I grew up in charismatic churches, so you got to get up with your offering envelope and hold it up
and declare,
what this is. And I could talk about that all day.
So sometimes we look at declaring as something different than an oath when it really is just an oath.
It's just an oath or my vow to God.
Wow, yeah.
And what about people who get divorced, who vow to their spouse? Like it's the same thing.
So we got a lot of discussion. We got a lot of things to unpack over the next couple of weeks as we continue to have this discussion.
Hour.
I know, Kristen. Thank you so much for just sharing with us tonight. We got to have you on to talk about some other things because I love conversations where we talk about religion in different parts. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in separatism that we can lose people because our rituals and our traditions, because we know the Bible. Yes, I'm not going to say the scriptures, but I know if you read the Bible, you'll know that it talks about how the traditions of man, if they overpower God, we'll lose the spirituality. So don't lose our spirituality as we grow forward. Now you got to come back next week. We're going to have a new discussion, some more people to talk about this thing as we talk about whether sororities and fraternities are are demonic in nature, if they're rooted in those things, if they lend to those things, because we want to know, we want to explore this thing, we want to have a conversation, and we want to be able to share for those who are really interested and for those who just want to know. It's important that we have conversations and talk about everything. So next week we have Lucian Ward. He is actually a Phi Beta Sigma. He is coming to share on Hearts and Heels, so I'm super excited. Remember, everyone, whatever you do it with all your heart. And if you can't put your heart in it, put your heels on and just walk on away. And remember, it just gets better from here. We love you. Stay encouraged. Love yourself, and commit to God. See you next week.
That was